Welcome to a guide on the new Esotericist Star Piercer Marksman, Vorn. On top of that, this video will serve as a new Esotericist meta team to be used in Semrah Apocalypse 2. Obviously, it would work in Apocalypse 1 as well, but this team is just too dang good to waste on Apocalypse 1. Depends on your account. You can do whatever you want. Eventually, any account can beat any of this with any faction at this point. There are really so many good heroes for Apoc now. But we're going to focus on Vorn. I'm going to break down his kit. We'll talk about the talent, the skills, the awakenings, the controversial A1, the nerfed A1. We'll talk about how to gear him, what artifact to select, and then finally we will head into battle, and I'm going to showcase this Semrah team. So something very, very unique. I would gather you've never seen this before. This is the new Esotericist meta kind of squad. You can see I'm not just highlighting Vorn, I'm not just highlighting Numera, I'm not just highlighting Nastya, but there might be a new avatar who may have caught your eye over here. This is Nerissa. When I was preparing this video, actually, I was going to use Fasti because Narissa was in the test server gallery but hadn't yet been delivered to our accounts. Since I actually got around to filming it and all the prep was done, she did show up. So I built her out. I will have a whole breakdown on her likely Sunday. That is my plan. And then next week, I will have a big proper guide. She is phenomenal. And she joins Fasti as the only unit in the game that has a consistent AoE damage reduction. So that comes on this skill over here, Siren Song. It is a 20% reduction. And a cool thing about her is it's 20% without any skill ups. Fasti is 5% without skill ups. It does go up to 25%, which is better, but this is pretty nice. It's a pretty low investment, though I think a lot of people are going to want to skill her because the whole kit's phenomenal. We'll save that for the breakdown on Sunday and then the huge guide next week. But another thing I just want to shout out, if you do get her A1, it increases the AoE damage reduction by 10%, so it goes up to 30%. Meaning she has a stronger AoE damage reduction than Fasti. She becomes the best in the game for that. The rest of the kit is really, really cool, including things like a cleanse, a single target inspiration, very nice stuff. But really, the big cleanse she's able to do on top of the AoE damage reduction, she's going to be beautiful for this fight. So if I take you through, we've got the amazing single target Esotericist Lord Nastya. Then we've got the shining star that is Numera. The amazing showcase hero of this video, Vorn. Helga will be a lot of fun. She's obviously great in Semrah with her incredible stunning, but it's going to be a lot of fun to see what kind of DPS she can do when she is paired with Nastya as her lord. That's going to lead to a lot more damage than Cyrus or Venoma could help her with in this battle. We, of course, have the new girl, Nerissa. Then I just want to bring Falsia into content when I can. I know I haven't made my Falsia guide yet. That will come. But until then, I'm just going to keep fitting her into showcases. Originally, I had her on the Esotericist team. We're going with her original faction now with the Northerners. I'm going to run King Hearts as our tank, Falsia under him. She'll do well. She'd do better if we used Elder, but I need a tank, and Hearts obviously is a much better tank than Elder. Then we're bringing Mari, because free to play and why not? She will give us very consistent magic and physical damage vulnerabilities, though this is almost entirely a magic DPS comp. The only exception is Falsia, who does magic damage, physical damage, and true damage. But yeah, nice little boost from Mari there, and her freezes from her ult will help us a little bit with the Death Saw, that first phase. Finally, we have Elwyn for some healing and some cleansing. And then we've got Diao Chan. Diao Chan will provide a little mitigation when we switch her into white mode, but mostly she'll be in black mode, the sorrow mode, and she's going to give inspiration. And then she will empower our top attack units with a little penetration on top of that. So it is worth mentioning from her final passive, Diao Chan, the Song of Sorrow, she's going to give penetration to the 2 non-healer allies in range with the highest attack. And that obviously won't be Vorn, so his numbers will be slightly suppressed because of that, but he's going to do phenomenal. Why is he going to do phenomenal? Because he is phenomenal, and let me explain why. Let's quickly break down his kit, go through it all, we'll talk about gearing, and then we're headed straight into battle. So we got Vorn over here. The talent, like many talents in Watcher of Realms, looks like it is just one talent. It is 3 different things. These are 3 separate talents. Let me break it down. He can inflict 2 types of poison on the target. What do they mean by 2 types of poison? Well, any poisoner in this game can build like 1 pile of poisons. They can have 1 poison debuff that they stack up to 10 upon. With Vorn, he is the sole exception. He can have 2 piles or 2 debuffs that he stacks upon. So because of that, effectively, he can get up to 20 stacks. He has 2 piles of his own, each with 10 stacks. 2 times 10, 20. You get it. That is the first part of his talent. Next up, when he deals any form of damage from his basic attack, everything he does is basic attack, so he's a really, really good candidate for Infernal Roar. It scales incredibly well with him. But any of those basic attacks will have a base chance of 33%. I say base chance because it goes way higher to guaranteed with the ultimate, but I'll have a 33% chance at base to inflict one stack of poison on one of your poison piles, and then another stack of poison on the different other poison pile. So he's got the 2 poison debuffs he's building up to 10 stacks at once. The final part. When the poisons he has placed on the enemy target expire, he is going to gain 1% attack increase for each stack of those poisons. Remember, he can have 2 different piles, each up to 10 stacks, so there can be 20 stacks expiring, and those will lead to a boost. And when that happens, we'll get a 1% boost per stack, and that will go up to 20 stacks, a 20% attack boost. That lasts for 15 seconds. So nice way to get some more attack on this guy. I will say 1 knock against Vorn, and let's actually talk about base stats now. There's some really good base stats in his kit. Very high base HP. This makes it really easy to build him tanky, which you need to do a little bit for any late endgame content, like Semrah, like Abyss 1. He also has a very good attack interval, like any single target marksman, 2.0 seconds. We love it. However, his attack is a little low. And I think that's because they tend to give magic DPS lower numbers of attack in this game, but also he ignores a lot of magic resistance. We'll get into that when we talk about his passive, so I think they wanted to bring him down that way. And additionally, he does build attack upon himself from that final piece in the talent. So there you have that. Let's actually get into the active skills and the passive skills. His basic attack, very simple. He has that typical marksman range, that single target marksman range, 4x3 tiles, 12 total tiles, including the one in the back he's standing on. Each hit deals 120% magic damage to one enemy. Let's go straight to the ultimate now. This ultimate is extremely good, and it's going constantly. So why do I say that? It is an auto ult, so you don't have to cast it. It just triggers right away. And the thing is really cheap, 500 skill costs. However, very often, especially if you're using Vorn as an Esotericist in his best comps, you're going to get a skill cost reduction, right? So if it's an Epic Lord like Vixera or Raiden, it's a 15% reduction. So that will bring this 500 skill cost down to 425, very cheap. And then if you're using Venoma, Cyrus, or in this case, Nastya, it brings it down 25%. So the skill cost becomes 375. That is not a lot of rage. That is really easy, so it does not take him a while to get this off. However, unlike other units in this game who have very cheap ults, but their ults don't last very long, he has a very cheap ult, but his ult lasts forever. It lasts 25 freaking seconds with skill ups. That is a lot. So what happens with the ult? Well, right at the start, he dispels 1 buff from the target. That is excellent for Semrah, and that is a slept-on piece of his kit. He joins Kagiri as the most reliable dispeller in the game. This is like fully auto. I will say Kagiri has more opportunities to dispel every time he's striking back and forth. He's going to be ulting. It just happens at the one time, but his ult comes back around quick enough once he's done that he's going to keep those Aegis stacks off. Then all of his basic attacks turn into triple hitters. Each one of those is going to deal 90% damage. So instead of 120% for 1 hit, it's going to be 90, but for 3 hits. So that's 270% damage. And each one of those hits inflicts 2 types of poison. So builds on each one of his piles, his stacks. So this gets both his poison debuffs on the target up to 10 stacks very, very, very quickly. For each stack of poison on the target, including the ones he placed, but also those placed by other poisoners, he will increase his damage dealt during the ultimate by 1%. This goes up to 30%. So he's going to get 20 stacks at himself. That's a 20% increase. But if you have one other poisoner like Vixera or Araka or Numera or Nastya or a combination of all those guys, you're going to get this up to a 30% damage boost. Let's go to this passive now, and then we're going to talk about the amazing but controversial Mind of Hatred passive. But the first passive, or auto effect, Flesh Warp, this looks more complicated than it is. Essentially, when he's not ulting, he can trigger ult damage. That's basically what it is. So when he's ulting, remember, he's inflicting the 2 types of poisons. His 2 different poison debuffs are getting stacked upon. And instead of doing a single instance of damage, he's doing a triple hitter for 90%. This passive allows those ultimate instances of damage to just get thrown in here, there, and everywhere. So every 15 seconds, he's going to come in with those triple hitters and the 2 types of poisons. He also gets the damage increase. Whatever stacks of poison are on the target at that time, he's going to get a damage boost to that triple hitter of damage. It then goes on cooldown for 2 seconds. So this happens every 15 seconds, right? Yes, except each time he successfully inflicts or refreshes a poison, refresh meaning he's already at full stacks, he lands another one. That just refreshes how long those stacks will continue, those max 10 stacks, just like any poisoner in this game. Every time that happens, he's going to reduce the skill's cooldown by 1. That is going to happen a lot, so this actually triggers quite a lot. This triggers every few seconds. It's just extra bursty damage, just like the damage he's doing during his ultimate. He can actually be doing his ultimate and just start triggering this as well. So you just get a big flurry of poisony damage everywhere. All right, for the big passive, increases damage dealt to shielded targets by 50%. So he's really good as a shield breaker. And then additionally, this is the crazy part, he applies a new buff in the game called Shield Break. What does Shield Break do? Well, it is going to increase damage dealt to shielded targets by 30%. So this goes on some of his allies. In original versions on the test server, it said to the 2 allied units with the highest attack. Since then, it has become to the 2 allied fighter units with the highest attack on the battlefield. When I covered Vorn in my most recent video, and the only time I broke him down on my channel, they had already made this change. But I know a lot of other people covered him earlier than I did, and they covered him before this change. Even wackier, when this launched on global initially, they did not patch through the new verbiage and it just said allied units. This isn't the biggest deal in the world for most circumstances because, typically your fighters will, of course, have the highest attack. They just have far higher base attack. However, there are situations where people might have counted on it being allied units, not allied fighter units. And then this also ties directly into his Awaken level 1, where you can see here he applies it now to 3 allies, not 2. And people thought it was any allies. Now it's just 3 fighters. And people might have said, yeah, okay, I have 2 fighters, but I'm going to go for the A1 because then it's 2 fighters and then my best marksman or mage with the highest attack. So this was a big debacle. I've already submitted a report to the devs. We shall see what happened. But no, for sure, the way it is now, unless they go and change this again, it is 2 allied fighter units. So for this battle, it's going to be Numera, and I'm pretty certain Falsia. We'll be able to check the buff once we start, though we don't need the shield buff here. But for Abyss or Nightmare 4, it's pretty dang important. Now, I hate when they do this. That's one passive. Second passive, which is the second part here. This is a key thing. This should be its own thing. But each time the hero casts the ultimate, permanently he gains 10% magic res penetration. This stacks up to 5 times. Pretty dang comparable to Twyla, who every time she casts her ultimate, she gets 10% defense penetration. So the physical version, this is the magic version. Hers stacks up to 8 times. So she'll be ignoring 80% of defense from her passive by the end of a long battle. His is 5 times, still very strong, very, very good. Let's take you through the awakenings really quick now. This is the Awaken level 1 we just discussed. So typically from the passive Mind of Hatred, that first part, Shield Break goes to the 2 allied fighters on the battlefield. They don't have to be in range, by the way, just on the battlefield with the highest attack. Now it goes up to the 3 allied fighters. Let's go to the A2. His attack increases by 300. This is really strong because his base attack is only about 4,200. So this is actually an increase of, what is that? 1/14th. So 1/14th. That's like 7.5%, something like that. That's pretty dang significant. The A3 now, Flesh Warp. That's this thing here with the extra bonus ult damage during and outside of the ult. This will be cast 2 consecutive times. So effectively it's 6 instances. More poison faster, more poison refreshes faster. More damage, good stuff, right? And then a separate part of the awakening. Now the number of targets affected by the awakened one is increased by 1. So now Shield Break applies to the 4 allied fighters with the highest attack. So basically all your fighters. You're probably not using more than 4 fighters. If we continue, Awaken level 4 plus 5% penetration. So we'll have the 5 stacks, the 50% magic penetration from his passive. Now this brings it to 55, plus any other things going on. If you've got a Diao Chan, other people buffing him, maybe there's a magic res reduction from Lyra or from Nastya on the boss. Pretty interesting. And then finally, A5, enemies inflicted with poison deal 25% less damage to the hero. So you don't have to build him as tanky if you get him A5 because he's just going to take less damage. And then each time he deals damage to a poison target, he's going to heal himself. So that might not seem like much, but if ever there's content where you need him to solo stuff and there's a single target, he's going to keep that thing poisoned and he is going to heal himself constantly because he puts out a lot of hits, right? Triple hitters for 25 seconds during the ult, the passive with random triple hitters, or by the time you have him A5, sextuple hitters, right? Because it's being double. And then he's just a pretty fast guy with 2.0 second base interval. So speaking about his speed and how to build him, let's go over gearing now. He's the perfect candidate for Infernal Roar. Every type of damage he does is considered a basic attack by the game. And on top of that, he does magic resistance penetration, so that scales very nicely with Infernal Roar. For content like this, you will want to stack the attack high. So you can see on the right side here, we're going for lots of attack bonus. When we can get it, I picked up a little tankiness here, and then we're looking for flat attack. On the left, we want Warlord or we want Wicked Vengeance. I went Warlord with the little trio, attack bonus, crit rate, crit damage, and then we have got attack bonus, crit rate, crit damage. You get the picture. These are the total stats now, 27k HP, just about 19k attack. He's got a 1.2 second interval, weird little rounding thing going on there, 321 attack speed. A little faster would not hurt, I'll be honest. Nearly 300% crit damage, crit capped, and a little bit of rage regen. So that will be our build. For the artifact, Spirit Siphon is going to be phenomenal. You could also go for the Blight Collar over here. Just remember, this is going to be physical damage, not magic damage. So if you're only bringing, debuffs to help magic damage, this would hurt. And actually a good example here, right? We're going to get magic res reduction from Nastya. This would not be benefiting from that. So Spirit Siphon will be his best for this specific battle. Lots of good options here, though. Very, very good character. Honestly, I think he's worth the hype. I think he's awesome. For everyone else, I'm not going to I don't know if you want me to show you everyone's gear. Take my word, they're all in pretty similar builds. I'm always going for very good stats, not completely quad broken stats, but consistently good stats left, right, and center. We're looking for very solid later part of the late game kind of builds. And yeah, I think you get it. One thing I'll point out is Mari over here. With our Mari, we're just going broken set. We're going Astral Guardian. We just want her tanky fast with some rage regen. We want her spamming to keep those vulnerabilities up. And then we want that ult coming back around for a couple freezes during the Death Saw. All right, guys, I think I really broke down Vorn for you. All right, guys, let's do this thing. One thing I forgot to mention, we got to talk about Invigoration. So we've got Invig on Diao Chan, we've got Invig on Nerissa, and we have got Invig on Elwyn. And that is going to be it. If you really wanted to min-max this comp, maybe you could put King Hearts in Morale, or you could put Mari in Invig or Morale, something like that. I just want to run it the way we're going to run it. You'll see Hearts here is in some nice Tempered Will. Mari was in Broken Set, like you saw. I guess at this point, I should just show you everyone's build very quickly. You can pause it if you want, but you'll get the picture. It's pretty consistent stuff. There's Numera. Any other DPS I got to show you? I got to show you Falcia, wherever she's hiding. There's Falcia. And there we have it. Ooh, Helga as well. There is Helga. She's going to be our little speedster. I'm very curious what kind of DPS Helga puts out. All right, let's hop into battle. So the way this is going to work, like with most of my Semrah stuff, Apoc 2 stuff, the battle's going to be long. So frankly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the setup. We'll do 1 or 2 full cycles, 3 phases each together. And then we'll probably hop to about 80K, 90K, 100K, and we'll finish the battle from there. If I don't do that, the video is just going to take forever. So that's what we're going to do. All right, let's hop in and let's start deploying. Quickly, remember we have 3 Invig heroes, so only 3 of our DPS can get the 10% Invigoration buff. We're obviously going to do Vorn. We got to do Numera because she's the strongest. And then we're going to do Nastya so you can see what she's all about. My apologies to Falcia and to Helga. Let's head in. We're going to place Numera right here. Then we've got our Diao Chan. We're going to place Nastya up here. We can place Narissa down here. So that's 2 out of our 3 Invig. Then we'll go Vorn. We will go Elwyn. And now we can just place everyone else. Helga needs to be back here because of her nice long... Actually, excuse me. I completely take that back. We're going to place Helga there. Almost a big mistake. Then we are going to place our Falcia here. And then we're going to place Hearts here. So you can see everyone's tucked into Elwyn range. And then finally, we have got Mari. So Mari's going to put out her vulnerabilities. They're already popping up, all that good stuff. It's worth mentioning Narissa is out of Elwyn range, but she is in Elwyn cleansing range. Everything should be golden. So let's quickly switch Diao to DPS boosting mode, the Song of Sorrow mode, the Black mode, whatever you want to call it. And we're off to the races. So we're going to do what I always do, and some people don't understand this, why I do this. We're going to not really use our ults, especially the first few cycles through the 3 phases at a time through this battle, and going to save bursts of DPS for the vulnerable in-between phases. Now, why is that? This is slightly unrelated to Vorn in this comp, but just because people ask me all the time, That's because there's a completely fixed amount of damage you can put out while there's a red bar, while the boss has health. That is a fixed amount of health, so it's a fixed amount of damage. Like, you can't get any extra points. You can't get any extra mech fragments. Your opportunity to rack up higher points, besides just going deeper into the battle, is really unloading as much as possible on the in-betweens. That's when he's vulnerable. That's when you can just rack up pure numbers as high as possible. So that's why you might see me slow rolling so many phases. So a lot of times on my guides where I do Apoc 2, people are like, why aren't you ulting? Why are you saving the ults? That's why. So you see, we're just going to tear through this really easily. So it just doesn't matter. Let's just take it through. I'm going to let this happen. We can throw it on 2x even. We're just going to save everything for the in-between. I guess we'll use Helga here just to put those stacks. You can see Helga makes this such easy mode. And here we're at the end now. We'll throw it on 1x and we can start to unload. So let's go here. Boom, 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 down the line. Mari doesn't matter, but we'll ult with her anyway. And you can see now we're unloading on that in-between, and that's a pretty crazy number. Let's see when he stands up. If you're over 4,500, I always say you're pretty comfortably going to get 120k plus. If you're 4k or higher, you're in okay shape. Certainly you've got potential. Over 5k is really good. Over 5,500 is extremely good. So you can see we're just laying out the DPS, and already it's kind of nuts. Right now it's showing current stats. Let's switch to overall stats. And you can see there's our little trio, Numera, Nastya, and Vorn. Important debuffs to talk about. We have from Numera the decrease in damage that the boss can deal. That's really huge. So she joins the ranks of like Alistair and Init and Volca of units that can put this out. Very, very strong. Then we've got lots of DPS stuff. This is from Numera, lots of poisons. But then over here, we've got a magic res reduction. That's from Nastya. So that's lowering the magic defense. And then here we have the increased magic and physical damage taken. That is from Mari. Really, really good stuff. And then, of course, we have the poison boost. The acute poisoning, that this debuff is coming from Nastya. Nastya and Vixera can do that. All right, let's go. You're going to see Vorn will be auto-ulting. So every time he starts to out, look how quickly that ult comes back. Watch him cleanse this Aegis right now. See that? Pop off that buff went. Really easy. We can already start ulting again. Boom. Let's go with Helga. Fasti is locked out. Perfect. Looking really good. And we're already way over 10k. You can see it really shaking out here. Such a superstar trio. I got to say, we're not doing Fasti too many favors running her not as an Esotericist and running her as a Northerner, but I wanted to run Nerissa as an Esotericist since she's the new shiny thing. But the Fasti guide's coming. Don't worry. Let's wait. As soon as he starts picking that up, we're going to go for the cleanse now with Eloin. Here it is. And now I'm not going to be able to show you. Maybe in the next rotation I can show you the cleanse with Narissa because that's just another great source of cleansing. Let's pop off. Let's go with Helga. Boom, boom. Looking very good, and we're really unloading. Really good DPS. So 18k after the first rotation, that's really nice. You know, if you're 13.5k or higher, I think pretty dang good shape, and you want to be at least 13, I would say. I'm talking about reaching 120k, but obviously this comp would bring you a lot higher, and it's a totally fresh new comp, which is pretty fun. We're tanking it. We'll go with Helga again in a second. Helga really does easy mode this phase. Though we have enough mitigation that we'd be pretty fine. Otherwise, let's get some ults going on the in-between. Boom, boom, boom. We can see, I mean, Vorn's like keeping pace. He's at what, 85% of Numera right now. I mean, that's really impressive. And he hasn't even, maybe he's just now fully stacked his passive. I don't know if he's gotten 5 ults off yet. All right, let's go. We're going to still just sit through all of this as well. We got an ult with Nerissa. Nerissa also does a cool effect that's brand new. Are they showing it? No, they're not going to show it here, but she does something where, she didn't ult. Hold on. Well, when she ults, she applies an effect that is increased healing received. That's something tied into her kit. We'll break it down on Sunday and then later next week, but very, very cool. She's super strong. She's the kind of unit, if you can get her A1, you're going to be very happy. She's good without it, but you're going to be very happy. Her ult keeps getting locked out, though. I don't know why. But it's my first real-time using her. But it's okay. You can see Vorn has handled this. They never have more than the 1 or 2 Aegis at a time. Very easy. All right, let's ult, let's ult, let's ult, let's ult. They still won't let me ult with her. I don't get it. It might be she just got added. Oh, I'll tell you why. She does this thing where she's getting these stacks of atrophy, and she needs to have 4 of them to be able to. So once you can see it's appearing overhead, once she has 4, I'll be able to do it. There's 4. So now we'll use her now, and you'll see. And there's a big cleanse, and that was from Nerissa, not from Elowen. So really cool. Narissa's like doing Pharisie's job, and she's another cleanser. So between her and Elowen, now the cleansing mode is so easy, and she's completely fulfilling the Pharisee obligation. So you can see we're going to tear through this too fast, but if he does get out more poison, we'd be ready to go with Elowen already. Can you get it out? No, he can't. All right, ult. Unloading on that in between. We're already coming up on 50K. I think this is a good moment to cut. You can see we're in pretty good control. We'll pick this up around 100K, and then we'll take it to the finish line. See you there. All right, we're hitting 100K right now. I actually learned quite a few things about Vorn and the new character Nerissa that I want to tell you guys. So yeah, we'll let this play out. We're still in pretty dang good control. And I want to point out Nastya and Numera have been in like total lockstep within like 10 million the whole time. Nastya just passed Numera, but very, very tight. And then Vorn's right behind them. These guys are A0 putting up wild numbers. Obviously, there's only so much damage to go around, so someone has to do it. But very good. I forgot to ult with Elowen, so thank God I did. Key thing you can see here with Narissa above her, these are her black pearls. She needs at least 4 black pearls to be able to cast her ultimate. She needs to consume those. She can't gain black pearls during her ultimate. That's right behind my head. And they start off blue, but as she gets more, they change color. And I believe she can get 12. So I'm thinking they're going to change color right now. Let's ult with Helga and get some stuns out. While that goes, I'll tell you something about Vorn, and then we'll circle back to Narissa. 2 more things I got to tell you about Narissa. But Vorn, pretty freaking impressive. I was saying with how often he's ulting, even though the ult lasts a while, you'll never get more than 1, maybe 2 stacks of Aegis. Confirmed now. This isn't even a fast build. Easily. There's never more than 1 stack. And it's full auto. So he really trivializes the Aegis mode just like Kagiri does. Really, really cool. So there you go. It switched to pink. So it goes blue, purple, pink. It can max out at 12 pearls. We'll dive a little deeper into Narissa next time, but I did want to explain that for you guys now. Let's get the Wood Elf down here. You can see I'm still like not ulting. Like we're just in total control. It's pretty nutty. The final thing I want to say about Nerissa, and you'll see this in just a moment when we reach the poison phase, is you might be used to using someone like Midon or Nasande or certainly Elowen to cleanse, and you got to like click the ult, you like wait a second or 2, and then the cleanse comes in. When Nerissa does her cleanse, it is instantaneous. As soon as you press it, you got to do it. So if you do it a little early, like you're used to doing with Elowen and Midon and stuff, she's going to do it too early, and then the poison will get placed after. So I'll show you how to do that when we reach this next part. But you can see this is a very, very comfy 120K. The gear's good, but it's a pretty tight squad, and this I'm pretty impressed by this team. I really am. It's all with Elowen. So she's almost at full pearls here, Narissa. I don't remember exactly how she gets pearls, but one of the ways is by healing, and we're at full health so often right now. She's not getting enough heals out to pick it up too fast, but you can see she's at 11. Kind of getting shellacked. I don't think this is going to be the deepest run. We only brought 2 healers. If we had a 3rd healer, I do think we'd go well above 200K, maybe head towards that 300K mark. But where we stand right now, I think we're probably going to end up 180, maybe 200. But I mean, hey, it's plenty and a ton more potential. Leave Falsey at home. Sorry, honey, you're not doing anything. We could have just brought another healer. We could have brought Aelin or something. Doing pretty good. I'm going to keep sitting on these ults. You can see we never have more than 1 Aegis. Oh, actually, I spoke to Zoom. There's the 2. But actually, when it matters most, it's actually gone. See, it just popped off. He was ready to ult. So I guess if it lines up just right, that's the first time they reach 2. But it doesn't stay there long enough to actually hurt us because Vorn pops that off right after. And if it was a slightly faster build or more rage regen, or if you didn't even run him Yeah, had more rage regen, then it would be, you'd be locked in on the one. But even still, it's even this build here, it's plenty. Let's ult, let's ult, let's ult. So we just passed 120k. There's our max score for rewards. Now we'll just keep going for fun. Let me show you how to use Nerissa right now. Okay, so she actually has her max 12 pearls. Doesn't really matter. So here's the acidic venom. Normally with Elwyn, as soon as he picks up, now you would ult with Elwyn. That's because she's on a little delay. Nerissa is not. So wait until he actually comes across. Now do it, and they instantly disappear, right? It's like boom. The way all the ults in this game should work. There shouldn't be a delay on all of it. But almost every ult in this game has some form of delay. Sometimes it's half a second, sometimes with Setrum or something, or it's like 3 seconds. With her, it's instantaneous, so pretty cool. But unfortunately, we'll take some getting used to because we're used to things not being fast in this game. But that'll be pretty easy, I think, for a lot of people to figure out. And the cool thing is she handled that really easy. So now we've got Elwyn ready for the next one. So here comes Elwyn. Boom. I was a little later than I normally would be on Elwyn, but it doesn't matter. If the fight gets precarious at all, we can always flip Diao Chan to the other mode. But I think we're good. We're only at 2 pearls here with Narissa, so she's not going to be able to go. But as long as he doesn't get this slam, which he's not going to, boom, we're good to go. Let's unload on the in-between. You can see I've still been very conservative on my ults. So Narissa now she has 5 things, so I can actually get the cleanse. There it is. There's a lot of other stuff that comes with that, by the way, with the ult activation, not just the cleanse, but I'm focusing on that for this battle. Like I said, you're going to have to wait for the deeper dive on her. He's starting to hit real hard. So we'll do one quick unload here, and then I'm probably going to start doing some Diao swapping. Let's get a little extra with Mari. That freeze counts as 1, so we're up to 11. Pretty good. So after he does this first slam here, we can sit on everything else, but after he does this first slam, I'm going to switch Diao Chan to white mode. So extra mitigation. We'll wait till he comes here too. All right, switch her back. Let's go with Helga. Let's go with Mari. We're good. Wait a second. In between, Numera, Falsia. We're good. Maybe we are going to do a pretty high score. We'll see. We are quite limited on healing. See, Narissa's back up to 2 pearls, so you need a minimum of 4. The more you consume, by the way, 4+, but for each one you consume, her ult lasts 1 second longer, so that's a key thing. So this looks like it might line up that he's going to get 2 stacks off, just because the way Vorn's ult came in. Let's switch here. Was I too late? No, we're good. Let's switch back. I should actually probably start using my ults. But you can see this team's OP enough that I really don't even have to be ulting that much. Numera and Nastya and Numera just passed, but you can see they've been tight this whole battle. And Vorn's really right behind, right? He's 7/8 of their damage. I mean, what is that? 87.5% of their strength. I mean, these are 2 of the strongest units in the whole game. I also think this is nice to finally showcase, Nastya isn't really built for Nightmare 4 for DPS. She's definitely built for DPS here. Very impressive. Now we're up to 5 pearls on Nerissa, so we'll be good to go. And I'll actually show you what I think I'm realizing now will be the best technique for using Nerissa and Elwyn together as you go for your cleansing. We'll go over that on the next one in just a second. Let's switch Diao. All right, switch her back. Now let's unload. Boom, boom. All right, so the best technique I think probably would be Elwyn can get her ult off every other. So we'll go Elwyn, then we're ready with Nerissa, then Elwyn. Nerissa probably won't be ready to go a second time, but we probably don't need to go a second time. So we should be fully cleansed if we do Elwyn first, not Nerissa first. So let's do that now. We'll do all the good proper timing. Here she is. Elwyn there. Boom. I could have even done Elwyn slightly earlier. Let's switch Diao right now. Here's the big slam. Oh, and we still got shellacked. I had a feeling. I wonder if they didn't register the switch, though. All right, that's going to be the end of the battle, basically. So here's Nerissa. We got hit. Now you click it. You wait that extra beat. Maybe we can just DPS our way through, but I don't think so. But Nerissa is doing a pretty good job healing. She's definitely going to be one of those units that, she can heal, She's not going to be like the best healer. Let's switch Diao. And we're going to get shellacked here. Toast. All right, there's the run. So yeah, we really needed a third healer, and that isn't Diao Chan. But there you go, 173K. I think it was pretty clean. I think we learned a lot about Vorn and about Nerissa. I'm excited to show Nerissa off in the next 2 videos. But there is going to be Vorn. There is Nastya and Numera as well, doing some crazy, crazy damage. 173.5. Let's take a little peek at see how this was distributed. So coming in at just about exactly half of Numera and Nastya, we have Falsia. Then not that far behind is Helga. Vorn is coming in at pretty dang close. What is this? 80K off. We're talking 5/6, 4/5, somewhere in 80 to 85 to 90% of their damage. Very, very, very respectable. And I got to say, so I'm running my Vorn here. This is how we'll conclude it. Let's hop to the hero screen. I am running Vorn. I believe it was in like 320 attack speed, 220 additional. And I can just tell you mathematically right now, if we pop him up, I just want to get exactly the number. Yeah, we had him at 321. If you could get this guy to 420, 430 or higher, it will always be never more than the 1 Aegis stack. Not that it was really giving us trouble, but that's a nice thing to consider. He's super powerful, guys. He's really made for this stuff. When I do my Nastya video, you'll see him in Abyss 1. He's really good, and the shield break he applies to the fighters is very strong as well. So there you have it. If you appreciate the video, please make sure you are subscribed to the channel. If you have any thoughts, comments, concerns, whatever, let me know in the comment section below. I've been Fastidious. Share it with your mother, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.
Fastidious.